The software space has brainwashed brands where they need a software for every element of the business that they run.
You're actually going to see more little tiny softwares in the market than ever. They're going to be little bootstrap business that are like 3-4 people teams that are just solving little problems.
Membership-based, subscription-based businesses are outperforming across the board non-subscription and non-membership brands. Going into 2025, some of these brands that have been resisting them, they're going to start to adopt them.
A vendor of ours, they jumped on Whatnot. They don't have a big following. They have only gone live half a dozen times, but they're averaging like $1,000 an hour.
If you pay a creator $100 an hour and you can average $1,000 an hour of sales, that's better ROI than running a meta ad. I'm sure Instagram's coming out with more live shopping opportunities here, and same with YouTube. TikTok's been streaming live shopping all day right now. They're trying to teach and educate the market. We are now on digital, guys. What do you guys think?
I don't like it.
Yeah, not a fan. I have to see Amer and Perella enough recently on Zoom. Last thing I want to do is see him again.
Dude, how about Mo's TikTok?
Oh, it's great. Mo, it's great. He's got a good squad over there. He's funny.
Did you see it?
Have I seen it?
No, Amir, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I liked it. Do you not pay attention to my likes?
No, I don't.
See, everyone's so much more. Everyone's more grumpy on Zoom too. I've noticed that.
This is true. It's 100% true.
My favorite part about working with Brian, I got a text message last night. I sent you guys boxes from Prella, and Adam, I guess, saw Brian wear our Prella shirt, and he made him give it up because he's not deserving. So, and I agreed with that decision.
Yeah, not true. Prella botched the sizing, and they sent me a large. I'm an XL.
I could see you being. I might think you're a large.
You're smaller than me.
Agreed. Yeah, but I'm so.
You're a little guy.
A little guy. I like you call him a little guy. Brian, ever been called a little guy in your life?
No, never. Typically muscular, handsome. Those are typically the adjectives.
Handsome, muscular, little guy.
Yeah.
Let's kick this thing off, guys. All right, let's shoot this in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop. Amir from the agency and Jimmy from SaaS. John has an Android, but give him a pass. Cause he's an operator building brands like a carpenter. And that's Brian, he is the marketer. Like I said, this the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the ASOM Pod, a show about perspective from the eyes of an agency, SaaS, operator, and a marketer focused on D2C, e-commerce, and the retail space. All right, let's go ahead and start off by introducing everyone. John Roman, the Android-loving survival king. What's up, John? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, dude. Let's have a good show here today. All right, Amir Grustinic, the Prince of Bosnia, Mayor of Chicago. Prince, how you feeling today?
That Mayor of Chicago sounds so good. We should make it happen
he
sometime
likes
soon.
that.
We
He
should
likes
make it
that.
happen.
Yeah, we should make that happen.
All right, we can
should,
work on that.
yeah.
We can work on that. I'll be the bribe czar. You bribe me and I go influence the mayor.
This is a great start to a campaign.
I'm sorry.
All right, and then we've got Brian McDonald, the self-proclaimed funniest dude on LinkedIn. Brian, you ready for the spicy sauce today?
Sorry, I'm just telling everyone to quiet down in here. Stop clapping. No, we're ready. We're fired up.
All right, and my name is Jimmy Kim. I'm the moderator, the brain, the man of the people, the email dude. No, nothing.
Yeah,
Is that better? What else you guys want? Founder? Yeah,
Enough. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
that's enough. Okay.
King of social organic.
All right, let us start off this pod because we are now on digital. We're doing this one special digital one because we couldn't get together for the holidays, but it's giving me an opportunity to share a little bit of a screen here. So I'm going to share off something that we have here. Hold on, I'm going to reset it because you got to get the full effect. All right.
Yeah.
This
Dun, dun, dun.
is our brand new website that you're seeing
wait.
here, designed by the team at Perella with our amazing show director, Caitlin. Take a look at this fancy ass website that we produced or they produced. And if you're listening to this pod and want to hear unfiltered hot takes from the team with no real rhyme or rhythm, we're just kind of sharing crazy thoughts that we have. Jump on in, subscribe right there onto the newsletter right there, and get your newsletter every week from us. So I wanted to share that just because we could.
One, it's not dates. We were all a team. Everybody contributed and provided feedback. Second, where was the applause for the launch of the website? Brian gets an applause and the website doesn't get an
We
applause.
should have drum rolled like that.
I know.
I'm just
Come
not
on.
good at this whole digital thing. I love the physical thing that we do. So maybe Mo will give us a little love there. But anyways, guys, all right. Just like a blink of an eye, we are talking about 2025. 2024 came through and flew by. And today in this pod, and why we wanted to get get on a digital kind of experience here today is because we wanted to do some predictions and we wanted to look back at the pod at the end of 2025, and we'll do one of those like, were we right? Were we wrong? What were we stupid about? And so what I did here for everybody listening is I asked everyone in the pod to come up with 5 predictions about 2025 for e-commerce. And they can be as broad as social networks, SaaS, AI, or anything in between. But we wanted to stay focused on the industry and see what everyone thought about what we did. And what was really interesting is we also wanted to make sure that we didn't have too much overlap happening along the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room and we're all going to share one at a time, and we're going to discuss that hot take or that prediction that you have. So Mr. Brian, I'm going to start it off with you. Brian, tell us about your first prediction for 2025.
My first prediction, for those that, have heard me talk about TikTok Shop before, which I'm assuming most have, I'm predicting that we're going to see the first real rise in TikTok Shop or TikTok creators in general in regards to the commission that they demand from brands.
Okay.
And I think the creator world now is an extension to a regard of a sales team. And what happens in the real world, right? We're talking off TikTok Shop now, just people in general, businesses in general. When you have a sales team, when they continue to hit their mark, right? When they continue to hit their margins and exceed goals, they get paid more money, right? They don't just continue to sell for the same percentage. Eventually, whether it's in the structure that they're currently signed up for, or they can now have a bargaining chip where it's like, hey, pharmaceutical company that I work for, I just blew it out of the water the past 24 months. Give me a bigger rip. And the TikTok Shop creators, and I think social commerce creators in general, are going to have that leverage point. Just like all other sales reps, all they are is sales reps that just happen to produce video content. They're going to have the same leverage point, and we're going to see the first real rise in demand for creators.
I agree and disagree with you on this, right? So I agree that the people that, the top sales reps, if you will, the top creators on the platform are going to ask for more. I think it's not going to make a difference in a macro scenario because the barrier to entry, the ease for someone to decide, I'm going to be a creator and get some affiliate sales on TikTok, right? Like you need a phone and you need to, be able to speak English moderately.
I don't
well.
even think you need to speak English.
You can speak whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's a very low barrier to entry, right? And when those people demand more, there's going to be the person that can't even speak, but can wear a bikini and show the product. And guess what? They're going to do it for 10%. I think you're right. But I also think it's not going to make a difference. I think we're going to price themselves out. There'll be the people that will always still use them because they see the value, but it's going to be that same thing you see in traditional influencer micro versus the larger ones, right? The micros having 100,000 followers, but then you have the guy that has 2 million and he wants $10,000, which is like not realistic. I think it's going to be the same disparity.
Interesting.
So-
I like that. I like the top one idea too. I think the tops will go up, but I
100%.
do agree there will be way more creators than ever.
Question for you guys. I wonder with this transition and what you were saying, Brian, with those negotiations, do you guys think there's going to be more exclusivity where somebody says, hey, I don't think brands will want you to sell, let's say, wallet A today and then wallet B tomorrow? So do you think there's going to be protective measures? And if that happens, to your point, Brian, I think what's going to happen too, creators are going to ask for more money, not to advertise other products.
So I'll go first at this because it's in our stand. So no matter where we find you, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, when we come to an agreement that whether we're giving you money, whether we're sending you product, whether we're sending you product and giving you an affiliate code, whatever the deal would come with, there's a 2-page influencer agreement that every single one of them signs. This isn't unique to us. This is standard. And in that agreement, that little 2-pager, you better believe you are not allowed to do videos for any of our competitors.
No, I understand that. Let's say they sign with you, and I completely get that, and that makes sense. But let's say you end that agreement with them, and a month later they go to another brand.
Well, I think again, it's the same answer, right? It depends on how what's written up. I'd have to look, but I think there is a small period of time after again, they can't. I think it's going to be standard operating.
And Amir, you got to realize, man, people are like goldfish. They don't really care, man. These creators will shoot 7 different, let's just say they're selling these cups or something like that. You're going to be able to go off and promote 7 different cups, and really the audience won't remember half the time.
Oh, no, I'm not worried about the audience. I'm more worried about because that creator has a specific following, and depending what they're selling and advertising, you could then take market share from your previous employer, let's say.
I think it's a fair call. So prime example of why what you're saying is a good thing that everyone should consider is simply that. So, we send a box out to a YouTuber and they do a battle box review, right? Like clockwork, one of our competitors within the next couple months we'll send them a box. Probably won't even talk to them. Just gonna send them a box and hope. And some talk to them. I don't think we have a single YouTuber out of the couple hundred we've sent boxes to over the last couple of years that hasn't received a box from one of our competitors. I think it's a fair call out, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
What an interesting little thought process around how this will change. All right, let's continue on, guys. Let's go to Mara now. Mara, tell us about your number one prediction or your first prediction of 2025.
I think with the numbers that we've been seeing, actually last few years, our subscription brands or brands that have memberships have done better in Q4 compared to non-subscription and non-membership brands. And if you look at each vertical, whether it's health and beauty, apparel, survival gear with John and things like that, and when we create these categories, whether it's outdoors, toys, or whatnot, we see that membership-based, subscription-based businesses are outperforming across the board non-subscription and non-membership brands. So I believe that we're going to see this push and adoption of different perspectives on implementations of subscriptions and memberships going into 2025. And some of these brands that have been resisting them, they're going to start to adopt them.
Brian, we'll let you attack this one.
Don't.
Yeah, so listen, I think subscriptions are dying. And I think they're dying for 99% of brands out there. The reason why, it could be a twofold, and we can sort of skip this when it comes around to my other hot take. The only reason I say this is because the average consumer is adopting and consolidating main subscriptions. And what I mean by main subscriptions is stuff they use every day. Your Netflixes, your DoorDashes, your Instacarts, Tommy's earrings, Jennifer's makeup are the first to go. Your average D2C brand that isn't a part of someone's nucleus, right? What you purchase for your home, what your family uses. I'm talking everything from I loop in big subscriptions now to mortgages, to health insurance, to all that stuff. And those become a focal part of someone's life, right? For us, that is YouTube TV, that's Netflix, that's Disney Plus for my kids. That is our Instacart membership because we get groceries delivered all the time. My wife used to be, during the beginning of COVID and before COVID, she used to be one of your subscription box customers. The issue with subscription box companies, which is what everyone on D2C Twitter and LinkedIn refers to when they discuss subscriptions and memberships. They're not talking about your Apples and Spotify's and YouTube TVs. They're talking about your battle boxes, your Oma's Prides, right? That's the nature of the beast. And yes, subscriptions went down 10, 12% according to SubSummit's report last year. They're going to go down 15 to 20% this year, but the revenue's gone up. Why is that? Well, it's because the big dogs that have consolidated the space in regards to subscription revenue have jacked prices up anywhere from 70 to 300%. So yeah, of course, subscription revenue is going to go up, which is a big thing that SubSummit talks about. The issue is people that offer subscriptions in the bottom 99%, because roughly 1% of your subscription companies account for a majority of revenue, right? All the companies that you see on the news that are your D2C Shopify subscription companies, they're going to keep getting crushed year over year over year over year. We saw a 10% decline last year, decline the year before. It's going to get worse this year. So next thing you know, 36 months later, over 30 to 40% of subscriptions have declined, but revenue's up. So everyone's going to be oh, subscriptions are still the king. No. They're not. They're not the king. Your Fords are the king, and your Saturn Ions that people used to drive and pump up, they're gone. See you later. No one's driving a Saturn Ion anymore. And that's the issue. Most subscription companies in the D2C space are Saturn Ions, and that's your Fords and Toyotas are going to gobble all them up.
I think there's two different takes, and I think they actually complement each other.
Love that.
You're addressing the consumer. I'm addressing the adoption of companies that is going to increase. I think with that, there's going to be more competition, and people who do it right will survive and do better. My later point kind of goes with this, was going to be my fifth point. We've seen this year, and we're going to see it even more next year. Consumers are getting driven more by value than discounts and offering more to that. I mean, the prime example is Oma's Pride. As we are redesigning your website and going through this process, you're not saying exclude subscriptions, because it is that foundational subscription for your target consumer, your ICP. But I think there's going to be a huge influx of brands doing it, and those that do it right and do it correctly, in my opinion, are the ones that are going to win.
It's interesting. I hear this and I say, Amara, I agree with the whole adoption of subscription membership, but I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win in that it's going to be as great of a thing that comes in. First of all, if you think about the main subscription and membership world, it's health and beauty, wellness, and all that stuff. Meta's got a big target on their back for Q1 as we come in, and Meta's basically said, if you're in health and wellness and you're selling this stuff, we're not going to let you do that. You're about to kill a huge channel for most of these guys.
Yeah, but look at it from a different perspective. We'll use simple Simple Modern, great example. One-off purchases, they introduce now pouches for flavored water or nutritional
I got
water.
one right
There
here,
you go.
actually.
Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. People are going to start looking at what are these add-ons that we continue to have a relationship, value-based relationship, not convenience-based relationship. Because I agree with Brian, the convenience stuff is becoming, I think, overpriced to a degree, but it's all, I think, going to be around value. And Brian and I talk about this a lot now about Almost Pride, but Simple Modern is a great example of a large brand doing the right thing in producing more revenue and a better relationship with their customers.
John, any hot takes here as you hear this?
No, I mean, I see both sides. With certainty, I have enough friends in this space. Subscription, especially the subscription box world, has, gotten kicked pretty hard over the last couple of years. I don't see it rebounding and correcting and going up. I don't see it. When we're talking about our 2025 plans, we're going to stay about the same size. If we have some growth in the subscription world, it's going to be single digit growth. And we're going to find our additional revenue, our additional profit, our additional growth from other channels, right? How do we take Amazon to the next level? How do we take Walmart.com to the next level? How do we finally crack retail? That's where we're seeing substantial growth. It's not in the actual subscription.
But the thing is, with that said, like this is exactly what I'm talking with a lot of our merchants. We actually share a lot of friends in this space. 100% accurate. You guys are looking for other channels. But the same thing is happening now to B2B companies that have never done e-commerce. They're getting into D2C. Now, those D2C companies that have subscriptions are like, okay, can subscriptions be additional revenue? The truth is that majority of D2C companies do not offer membership subscriptions. And that bubble, however we're going to look at it, is going to change because of that, because they're looking for other revenue streams.
I think there's a lot there. I think that the biggest thing, as you guys talk about all of this, the only thing that goes into my head, by the way, with all this is like someone who's been really deep in AI and coding with AI. If anything, I think that subscriptions will be easier for more companies to adopt simply because AI is going to enable people to build out the right kind of thing that they need for their business, not like a box type of thing, but like something that they can actually go off and create, right? So there's a lot there, man. All right, let's continue on because I think we've got so much to cover here and I want to make sure we're going through it. John, tell us your first 5 predictions.
So horrible timing with down 7% Bitcoin a day, Doge down 18%.
It hurts.
Binance Coin down 8%, Litecoin 16%. It keeps going on. Great first one, continued run up of cryptocurrencies. But how that relates, I think there's going to be ebbs and flows there. It's volatile. The reality is, though, if you look back at the last major run-up like this, which was 2017, and you look at what occurred at that time, and there was this push by everybody to try to convince brands, SaaS companies, accept Bitcoin, accept Litecoin, make it one of your standard ways to get paid by your customers. And I think we'll see it went away, right? As soon as it all crashed a little bit, all those companies went dunzo. So I think my prediction is, yes, is the cryptocurrency, the Bitcoins of the world going up and becoming more and more of a standard, but it's really about all these pushes we're going to see for accepting it as an actual currency, which they haven't figured it out yet, right? They've tried multiple times. 2017 was the closest we ever saw to any sort of adoption, and it was a fail. But I think we'll see it middle part of this year again, next year.
Yeah, I saw some SaaS companies that tried to do this back in maybe let's say 2020, 2021. They tried to create carts, like e-commerce carts that were very much crypto centric. Unfortunately, none of them exist anymore today. Fortunately, just because they couldn't get the adoption. And really, I don't think it was adoption as much as people couldn't convince the consumer to do it. I don't know what the percentage of people who are actually still investing and growing with crypto are right now, but I would say the number has to be pretty low these days.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
The only thing I want to kind of add to what John said, I know it's bad timing with what you said, John, but we've been saying, or the mainstream has been saying for the last 20 years, crypto's going to die, crypto's going to die, crypto's going to die. Crypto hasn't died. It actually got strengthened. I think with having a crypto czar in the White House and somebody focusing on this, I think crypto will get a better foundation. That's my prediction, I hope. And it's going to be, I think, accepted, and I agree with you, Jimmy, first by B2B, if anything, especially in the tech space. The everyday consumers, I still talk to my friends and we have conversations about crypto. They still don't understand what it is, how it works, what the purpose of it. Yeah. So I think mass adoption, we're maybe decades away, but I think niche adoption, I think is going to come.
Well, utility, right? That's what you're talking about. The lack of utility and value and stability are very much to change the challenge of crypto. And, you talking about 8%, John, by the time this pod comes out in a week or two, we could all be back and on a freaking crazy bull run again. The whole idea that the interest rates and the predictions into next year around like how many cuts that are going to occur next year is what created instability in the stock market, which created a firing off into what has occurred with crypto. It's really funny, but as much as people don't want to admit it, the stock market affects the crypto market so much these days. And that's really telling you how much mainstream it's gotten, really, because the ETFs and the different things that are occurring in crypto 100% are really creating that effect.
1, 2, 3 into the phone. Guess who it is? Omnisenders at the door. Tools that'll make your brand break through. Pretty damn awesome, just ask the crew. Trusted by over 125,000, 5,800 reviews, you can count it. Go ahead and try it like Elf on the Shelf. The results you'll get will speak for themselves. Do their best to impress with their SMS. Do their best to address an email address. So forget juggling naps, this ain't a circus. Omnisend was built just for you with a purpose. So what are we doing? Why the delay? Head to omnisend.com today. Hey, yeah.
Let me jump into the next one. My first prediction myself personally is that we will see a rise of creators creating software and brands this year. As we started to realize that these creators are creating and congregating mass audiences into the market, but they're only promoting third parties and only getting a sliver of the pie that is occurring by being a part of those brands and services. I believe this year will be the year that creators turn to business and say, you know what? I'm not going to keep being a creator for everybody else and promoting everybody else's stuff. I'm going to create my own software. I'm going to create my own brands. So I think there's a big rise in that market ultimately this year. Anyone got anything on that?
I agree. Actually, when I read your notes, I was like spot on with brands. To me, instead of creators-led software, I think it's going to be more marketer-led software. I think marketers are going to be more important because of the competition. Whereas we discussed many times that development, I hate to say it because I'm in the space, people are going to need to figure out how to stand out, and marketing is going to be a big play, which creators know how to do, by the way.
Yeah, creators are the best marketers, organic, authentic, creating real noise, and they've got a different mindset. You're 100% right. It's really interesting how the rise of content has changed and evolved. Remember when like the bloggers were the most popular people in the world, and now the bloggers aren't really vloggers because they're not like doing the vlog thing just as quite as much. They're really becoming content creators and like, educators, and they do high quality stuff, man, extremely high quality stuff these days.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
All right, Brian, let's keep going. What's your number 2 prediction for 2025?
So I'm going to skip over the subscription industry because I predicted a 15+% year-over-year decline in the amount of subscriptions that people have. And then, someone just wrote a bad word at the end of my prediction.
He's trying to trip you up, I think. Someone's trying to trip you up.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it. He wrote then, all right, so I'll go to I'll move on to the next one. And I think that this was clear even months ago. I think Jimmy was actually the first one to bring it up. We'll see more SaaS companies in 2025 have to close down or get consolidated by others than ever before. So consolidation, and then also ultimately fall off in the SaaS space for a multitude of reasons. One, with AI. 2, software now has become, in my eyes, like very universal, which I've talked about in LinkedIn posts before. There's some, software companies that differentiate a little bit with software, but at the end of the day, most folks offer the same thing. And, with the ease now to build software in comparison to years before, it being harder to scale to a revenue degree, and then also brands getting smarter. Like for just a great example here, we use Grin, which they're on my list of, I have a special list of people and things that I despise, and they're on there.
Did you inherit that?
What's that?
You inherited Grin?
Yes. Yeah. So not great. So I hit up John one day. You remember this, John, like a month or two ago. I'm like, hey, John's like, oh yeah, it's like, we just do it like manually. I think the software space has sort of like brainwashed brands where they need a software for every element of the business that they run. And that is a huge issue on the brand side of it, especially now it's harder to be profitable now than ever before, especially as a D2C brand. And it's like, oh, are you looking for this? Try this software. Are you looking, next thing you know, your tech stack is, a Bible, Harry Potter book long, and you're paying $50 here, $100 here, $200 here. It's like, dude, why do we need a Grin software? We have 100 people. Let's pay someone who are already paying to just do a manual entry. I think brands are going to start to adopt more of manual entry in regards to like data tracking, things like the affiliate program is a great example of that. I know John and BattleBox do the same thing because there's too much software out there because brands became brainwashed where, oh, you need all this software to make you more efficient. efficient, it's like that was complete BS. There's like 3, maybe 4, between, we're talking like email, subscriptions, actual platform. There's like 4 or 5 things that brands need. After that, unless you're making an astronomical amount of money at scale, you don't need any other pieces of software.
Before we respond to this, Brian, I want to go to Amer right now because Amer's second point is very similar to yours.
Let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
Amer, you give your point, and I have a really hot take here to give out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for me, it's a more investor perspective, but I got a hot take for Brian too, and I'll share it after you. But to me, a lot of these SaaS solutions, and I'm going to kind of talk more about the ecom space, specifically Shopify space, because that's what I see every day. These valuations that happened, 2-3 years ago prevent these platforms now to raise another round. It is just not as attractive to investors. So what I'm predicting is going to happen, a lot of these investors will stop investing in these companies and shift their money and capital to consolidating and trying to merge a bunch of platforms together to create a more attractable company that could potentially then raise more money because the value is going to be there. I think that's like my biggest thing. And I think the companies that don't attract that or platforms that don't attract that, they are going to see closures. And we've already seen that in 2024 with a lot of platforms, unfortunately. So I think 2025 is when we really, really feel it and see it.
So, this is all interesting because, consolidation is obviously a very simple way to think about this, but I do see the folding part. Like I agree with the folding part because there's gonna be a lot of businesses because they have too much capital, they've required too much capital, they've burned a lot of money and they don't know how to get profitable. That's 100% a truth that's gonna continue to occur. What's interesting about with the rise of AI and getting smarter and different things around a leaner team, the big hot take that I think about is you're actually gonna see more little tiny softwares in the market than ever, a lot more SaaS that's no longer 50, 100, 200, $1 billion valuations, but they're going to be little bootstrap business that are like $1 million to $2 million that are like 3-4 people teams that are just solving little problems. Like, one of the things that I've been doing since I've left SendLane and some of the things that I've been spending is I spend a ton of time on Cursor and Claude, and I sit there and I develop. For example, we're going to talk about subscription software because Brian said that was an important, necessary thing. I actually disagree with you on that because all the things that I've been tapping into with Shopify's API and subscription management right now, dude, all the endpoints are there. All the most important things are in there. And let's be honest about most SaaS. Most SaaS is one fits all, but now you can actually create one for my own business and what I want to occur within the flow. And I don't need the 80% of the BS that I don't need anymore because that was for other businesses that I don't ever want to utilize, right? So I think that there's going to be a rise of people like Amer's team going to be able to facilitate where they'll be able to create a very singular point of product that does exactly what you want it to do, that you own and you install, and you might pay Amer for service updates and support along the way, which reduces your costs, but also will help you kind of realize that you have availability and options, and you're going to have a lot more SaaS companies than ever in the world, a lot more companies that are, again, going back to my other one, creator-led people that are no longer going to be wanting to promote other people's stuff. They're just going to go develop something with AI and one developer and go ahead and create this little tool. I can come to Brian and say, for Brian, I know you pay blah, blah, blah for your X, right? But I'm going to be able to do the same thing you did for your only use case that you install and download. You're going to pay me a one-time fee of like $15,000, $20,000 or whatever it is, but now you own it and you don't have to do anything with it. I think both of you guys have the correct mentality around it. I think it's going to be a tough year this year for this market, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's going to create a new thing. And, as I've always talked about, things are cyclical. If you go all the way back to 2009, 2008, downloadables were hot. People used to pay for downloadables and they would pay for support. We went to the cloud in like 13, 14 when people were like, oh, I don't want to download and manage and install. I'd rather just pay a company. And it was fine at one point, but what happened was everyone raised their prices. And the fact that you're paying 20, 50, 70, there's brands paying 50 to 100 grand a month on SaaS products along their entire tool stack. And that's insanity. That was never supposed to be the case. The case was you went to the cloud because it was cheaper, easier, faster, $7, $15, $20, and it was a really micro economy.
Adobe, we pay, it's like $80 a license for Creative Cloud, and we have 12 people that need it. We give them $1,000 a month. The software, I remember back the first time I had Photoshop 4. Yeah, I'm dating myself at this point, but it was expensive, right? It was $600, but you were done. And the cloud option, to your point, was, oh, this is going to be inexpensive. I might pay that amount over the course of several years, but I'll always get the new version. Now I'm basically buying the full cost multiple
Over and
times
over.
a year. It's insane.
All because the investors and the people on the top want to make more money. And the easiest way to make more money is to expand the ACV of a deal, which is to raise prices on customers. It's like the little hack that people have done forever is no longer going to work. And in fact, the other way has to start occurring this year where everyone's going to have to start lowering prices. And well, when the cardinal rule of SaaS has always been lowering prices kills your business because you are pissing off your former customers that have been paying you a lot of money over the years. So
My one thing, I 100% agree with you, Jimmy. I 100% see that there's actually something we're working on with Eggs. We can build a subscription app with Shopify's API in 2 weeks.
that's what I'm saying.
Basic, something. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be robust as a recharge or a
But you don't need it
Skio
to
or whatever.
be. You don't need a user interface. You don't need all this stuff that is on the software side for yourself to manage if it does exactly what Brian wants for a subscription company.
My biggest thing here is what's very interesting is I think Brian, you touched on it, or Jimmy, I'm not sure. So right now you can hire a VA in any global market for $1,200 a month, let's say. Now you can have that VA do a lot of things these analytics platforms and everyone else does manually for you. But the beautiful part is you can then give them 10 additional tasks. That software cannot do that.
Yeah.
So now what we're getting away from, and especially with the injection of AI, it can be a lot more efficient. They can do a lot more. And guess what? That one platform that you're paying $1,200 a month for, they can't develop at the pace to give you those 10 other options a human is going to do. So like that whole thing is AI is going to take your jobs. No. I think if you learn AI, you're going to start to battle with SaaS solutions that can't scale at the level a human with AI can.
That's exactly right.
Here is a great point to go piggyback off of that and to Jimmy really quick, and then we can close it out. I don't know if you guys you follow this kid on LinkedIn, Liam. Him and his buddy, they already developed it. I think it's available in the Shopify store called Cart Share. And you can share your cart with a family, friend, whoever. It's meant for high AOV brands. And if someone comes on to Oma's Pride and they know like one or two other people want Oma's Pride, but they don't want to hit the $150, $200 free shipping threshold, they can add $60, share the cart, so their items are in the cart, right? So it's a cool concept, but these kids are, I'm not kidding, are 16 years old posting in the bathroom at their school, building the app in a stall. That's how easy it is to build SaaS today. When I was 16, 15 years old, I was smoking a joint behind the bleachers. Long story short is that's how easy it is to build software now. You have little kids in a bathroom stall in high school building better software than people that used to spend millions of dollars on it doing the same thing 10 years ago.
To be fair, it was easy back then as well. The only difference is, to go back to Jimmy's thing, the documentation that, like, for example, companies like Shopify are putting out is incredibly robust. The second thing, we have AI that can help you guide through it if you don't understand something. And 3, you have an incredible knowledge base on platforms like YouTube that will walk you through a problem that you encounter. We had the YouTube and we had the documentation before. We didn't have AI. AI is just speeding up everything, and God bless those kids because they're ahead of the game.
Yeah,
It's
unbelievable.
amazing, man. Trust me, as someone who's been really diving into this stuff and I haven't successfully built anything, it's just a matter of time. Just give me a matter of time and I'll get this figured out too. All right, next hot prediction. John, I'm going to go back to you. You've got a prediction here. I love this one.
Yeah, so as much as I would love for it not to be true, Meta, for those that don't know what Meta is, Facebook, Instagram, it's going to continue its domination as being the place to acquire customers, the easiest, the cheapest, the fastest. I mean, it's dominated for years. It's going to continue to be the number one place to get new customers. And I'm sorry, Apple Oven, insert TikTok shop. It's Meta. No one has put together anything that's truly formidable to them at this point.
All right, Brian, you're even shaking your head and smacked your forehead.
Yeah, because listen, I was the first one to put their hot takes on this, right? Like Jimmy sent out a thing, hey, everyone have your hot takes and predictions ready, right? And then I was the first one to upload them. So then Jimmy's like, hey, like make sure you guys read Brian's, right? Before you make yours, because like Brian was the first one. My number 4 was Meta will return and remain king for ads. And it was essentially, yeah.
Piggyback on it then. Piggyback on it. It's okay. It's okay. The alignment there just tells us that it must be even more true than ever, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm thinking about it. But tell us, Brian, why did you think this?
That entire emotional thing, it was you upset that I took your number 4? That's what that was? You were just upset. Okay.
No, but to piggyback off that, I agree with John. I think Meta is, the thing with Meta is they have a track record and they've really figured out precision in regards to the user that the ads are going towards and targeting, where TikTok is a totally different beast, right? And Meta also hasn't released now their social commerce play. So who even knows if Meta's even going to tenfold off of what they are today?
You and I disagree here. My number 2, your 4 is not the same because I'm not bullish on their social commerce.
No, correct. But what I'm saying is what I'm saying is Meta can only get better. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with John, especially now we've been interviewing different paid folks in regards to taking over our OMA's account when Perella finally finishes the website, which should be coming up here in a few months. But yeah, we're going to have someone. And the one thing consistent with all the folks that we've talked to so far, and they do this for a living. So this isn't like, oh, like people just like kind of guessing on a podcast. It's like, yeah, like we do this for work, and Meta is king. You know, they're seeing like a big 80-20 split recently and between Google and Meta, spend wise, like 80% Meta, 20% Google. That's like the big shift that they're seeing coming up for this year. And yeah, I'm all in on what John said because that was what I said first.
We said it in a different way.
Yeah, you guys did. But I want to take an alternative take to you guys on this one because I'm interested to see what you guys think about this.
Did App11 sponsor you?
Nah, App11 didn't, but maybe they will, and I can retract this statement. But actually, it has nothing to do with this. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to date myself a little bit. In 2009, when I joined the internet, the advertising king was Google. And Google was great because it was a little bit of the wild, wild west back then, and you can still be an affiliate. You can do all this fun stuff back then. Around 2010, 11, they started to tighten their belt. And they started to take measures like Meta did. Just like Meta's health and wellness change that's coming, it was something that Google did a while ago to stop people advertising because they thought they were the king and they thought they could control the market, and people started to think about it. Let's be honest, health and wellness is one of the most primary and biggest drivers of revenue and ad space in the market. Meta just said no to them. They're gonna have to go find something else. And so my feedback to you guys as you guys say this is I think Meta's going down that slope that Google went down, which is they started to deteriorate their ad network because they thought they were so great and mighty that they could own everything, that they were going to start deteriorating. And so there will be a search for a different channel. Not saying that there is an alternative, and I'm not saying that Meta will lose next year, but I do simply think that the search will continue on as we think about this.
So I actually agree with my take, Brian's take that is similar, and your take. I think you're spot on with the the way Google did. I think it happens, but there has to be someone that comes and can actually truly challenge, and that's not going to happen next year.
It's not. There's no one on the rise there right now. I agree with you on it, but there's got to be a next thing. And in fact, one of your future hot predictions, I agree with. We'll talk about that when we get there, but I am going to piggyback with my prediction, my number 2 prediction because of you guys. Google search and ads continues to become less relevant than ever in both e-commerce and in life. I don't search on Google anymore as much as I used to. I'm on my AI engines. And I also think that because of all that, people are using Google less than ever. Even got my wife on ChatGPT. She doesn't even go to Google anymore. She literally goes and opens up ChatGPT, even just the free one, to ask questions all the time and use it like Google because she says it gives me the only answer and the right answer. It doesn't give me a listing of pages where I have to go sort and figure out if it's real or not.
Here's the crazy part to piggyback off that. I was over my buddy that lives in our neighborhood. I watch film. Two of his kids are in high school. One of them's in middle school. His daughter's in middle school. And we're watching film over their house, football film. They're like all showing me videos on TikTok and Instagram or whatever. Someone said like, oh, you should check out this website. And the 7th grade daughter, right, takes his phone and she points, I'll show you my phone too. She points to this blue button, which we all use all the time. She goes, what's that? Like you've had my buddy, he's like, you've had this phone for a year. She goes, I've never opened that before. As buying power gets younger, less people are on the internet. The internet is going to become less relevant. That's not how they consume, and that's not how they buy.
As in web browsing.
As in web browsing, correct. And which ultimately entails Google.
Which is crazy if you guys all think
wild, dude. I'm like, you've never opened that? You've had your phone for... That's like, I want everyone to realize how crazy that is. A 7th grader has an iPhone for over a year. They've never opened Safari.
So they're just relying on social.
All social.
And then even the social browser probably not even realizing because they're not typing in the URL. They're getting referred to that site.
Correct.
There's no URL bar behind it.
That's really interesting. The thing is, to be fair, YouTube as an example, however you want to categorize YouTube, it's the second largest search engine in the world. And that's been for a very, very long time. So it's whether it's app-based, I don't know the numbers, but I disagree with you, Jim. I think people that grew up with Google are still going to utilize it. I still talk to people that are non-tech, and I start to talk about AI. I start to talk about even ChatGPT, which I think is the simplest form of AI. And they're like, oh, we don't get it. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, instead of like browsing through 10, 20 listings and trying to find the right answer. At the tip of your fingers, you can get those answers. So I think there's going to be an increase. I think Google's going to lose ground. But I think one of the biggest reasons I am still so bullish on Google is because what they just did with quantum computing.
Well, I never said Google as a general company. They are quantum computing. They're getting to Gemini AI. I'm talking about search. I'm talking about search
Yeah.
and Google Ads is going to be less relevant. I didn't say they're going to die. I just
Yeah.
know the decline is
But
gonna
I think they're
start
going to evolve. I think they're going to evolve. So like one of the things I'm bullish on and I always talk about is artificial intelligence overlays, AIOs.
AIOs.
AIOs are also going to start to get ads within them. And I think we're going to see more and more of that is going to become a pay to play. I think what they're trying to
save themselves on the search.
Yeah. So I think that they're going to transition to that. I think right now is let's get people to adopt. After people adopt, you're going to see, because remember like 10 years ago, we used to have one ad on the top of the page used to be all organic. Now it's like 6 ads and then on the second page, the first organic results. Yeah.
Everything used to be on the right side too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Used to be separated.
Yeah.
Even YouTube's doing a lot more of that. The more sponsored posts and different things that are coming up now, YouTube even does a lot more of that.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see like when quantum computing gets attached to their AI, the power of that is
That's when AI decides to kill us, right?
that's
That's the moment where Skynet becomes real.
It's going to be interesting, guys. All right, let's continue on. All right, Brian, you've already gone through 4 because some have been taken or cross-lap, but the last one is a hot one. So tell us about that last prediction.
Brian, you're a walking excuse.
Oh, man, you got to be a part of the group to kind of get that for those folks listening. All right. 5, my bold prediction. Brands that have been leaning on China and other countries alike for cheap goods will struggle. Never before have they had to worry about this in recent D2C boom history. What I mean by that is people are typing in
Not me this time.
things again on there.
I removed the word that will get us in trouble. So we
yeah.
can't
Okay, good.
that.
Perfect. Yeah. So listen, obviously we've talked about this. I talked about it at Commerce Roundtable. Shout out to Commerce Roundtable in San Diego this past year where I was on stage. Remember I almost took the stage over when I did this thing with my feet?
I'm like with the team of shoes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And we talked about drop shipping era.
Yeah.
Well, the new form of drop shipping isn't necessarily white labeling product from overseas and then throwing your logo on it, but it is still the case in regards to folks buying cheap goods at a cheap cost, right?
Yeah, tariffs,
so they're
right?
still
You're talking about
leveraging the product. They could be building it, right? They could be designing it or using China, for example, as a manufacturing facility to create the product that they've, designed or that they've developed. But now the big fold here is going to be, and I think plan is to take not just China, but we're going to start to see that fold in other countries as well. And when you're going to be paying 20, 30, 40% more on 150 or 180% marginal product, that affects multitude layers of your business because now you're not able to leverage ads in the way you were to leverage them before because you can afford a high cost per click, right? You can afford, a higher churn because you're making more margin on the first order. You can give more money away. But now if your costs increase by 30, 40, 50%, which I think they will for a lot of brands, right? Very few people make anything in the US. Everyone knows that. When they're procuring their products or raw materials, even from your Chinas and Taiwans and your Indias and your Mexicos of the world, well, the costs are going to go up. So now they have to leverage their net new customer acquisition completely differently. They're not able to give as much away in the first order. Maybe a different part of their business has to change to account for the rising costs. I think very few brands will, which I originally predicted, pass all costs to the customer. I think they pass some to the customer, but they change the way in which their business is operated and ran to a degree because people are going to be like, well, my customer's not going to pay 30% more. All right, well, now how do we change our net new strategy for customer acquisition to get our cost per click? That whole 9 yards unfolds.
So I would agree with you if the 30 to 50% thing happened, like you're stating, but that's not going to happen. That's not happening. I just think it's wrong.
What do you think's going to happen with?
There's no world where costs are increasing 30 to 50%.
Well, here's the thing. So this is the big thing about tariffs.
He's talking about tariffs, right?
Talking about tariffs.
Right. So there's a world where it's been said, oh, we're going to add another 20% to that. It's specific categories, and it's not all categories, it's not full classifications. I don't know if we'll even get to that much. I think it's a negotiation, and I don't think we'll end up that. I think that's worst case scenario.
Yep.
The worst here, we're talking to 20%. What you're describing, if it's 30 and 50%, I think you're spot on with the rest of it. I'm being hopeful. I don't think we even ever get close to that amount.
I think there's two big things here that I think on two spectrum of this people get it wrong. One spectrum is that people think that China, Mexico, Canada are going to pay for these tariffs. No, it's us as consumers. That's one part. The second part, to the opposite side, Brian, to kind of push back on you, we're talking about percentage increase on landed costs, not on MSRP. So if your landed cost is $10 for something and the tariffs are going to go up to $12.50, the product is going to be $12.50. You're increasing by $2.50. You're not going to mark up the $50, $60, $100 depending on the margin of that product. So I think there's a big delta there to kind of be fair to the situation. My big thing is to push back on John. I think we've already seen companies like John Madden and some of these other big players.
John Madden?
Steve Madden. Steve Madden, buddy.
Steve Madden, I'm sorry. Yes, Steve Madden. Thank you for the correction.
R.I.P. John Madden.
Steve Madden diversifying and moving their productions, I think it was to Vietnam or somewhere else as well.
Correct.
So I think there's going to be a diversification of where our production is created, which now I don't fully know what the implications are with shipping, because with China shipping, everything's so streamlined. I also want to be hopeful. I think, Brian, from your side, I don't think it's going to be as bad, because I think we have to start thinking about landed cost. On the other side, I think if this starts, to your point, John, I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better, because then it's going to be, who's going to outdo who, because both economies are going to be impacted so much.
Yeah, listen, if you're working on such razor sharp margins that you couldn't persist to take a 10-20% price hike, in my opinion, you probably have a bit problem with your business to begin with, and that's my humble opinion on it. I do agree with Amer. There will be a diversification of people finding it. Here's the facts of life, guys. China has gotten expensive. It's increasing in cost, and there's other countries that are willing to create and are technologically getting to the place where they can create the same products for a similar lower cost. South America, other places of Asia, and there's a lot of these things. You know what I mean?
One of my favorite books, sorry, Jimmy, to read about this situation and about this change is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight's story of Nike, Blue Ribbon. What happens a lot is Nike started in Japan after World War II because Japan needed infrastructure because of the war and everything. Then they started to move throughout Southeastern Asia, ended up in China. The same thing is going to happen. This is like nothing new.
Correct.
This is just about business and demand and markets evolving, and you as a business person taking a step back and saying, how do I want to respond to what the market is asking for?
And not to get into foreign policy, but one thing you got to understand about China, this is really an interesting thing. China brings their consumer products here and we buy from them. But do you know that a lot of China doesn't buy from us? And do you know why the reason is? Because China has a huge tariff on us. Are you aware of that? Like, if you want to bring a US product into China, the reason why companies don't do it is the tariffs are so high, because back in 1998, the President Clinton, there was a whole tariff-like agreement, right? The free trade agreement that came into place. And so to me, the tariffs are a little bit of a political leverage to reduce those costs. In fact, I could see us creating a more fair environment where both sides of the countries are getting the fair share of consumerism that's going to happen between the two countries, or they're going to pull away. And to Amer's point, go somewhere else. And this is exactly, the whole idea of Christopher Columbus and why he sailed across the world to come and find the United States was not because he wanted new land. It was because he was trying to find better resources.
He went the wrong way.
And a faster way to get to India, of course. But there was other things that came out of it. It was because they were trying to find ways to save money. And it's the same kind of concept that's going to appear here. So I do think that it will, obviously, we will see some struggles. But again, it's no different than the thing that you guys have said. You're going to see more companies close than ever this year, right? Like, that's just going to be facts of life. And I think that's going to be the fact of life always, right? That's where it comes into. All right, let's continue going on, Amer. We'll continue with you. You got a hot take here coming up here. Tell us about it. Because I think you're number 3 and number 4 together. So you tell us both 3 and 4.
Yeah. So in my space, we always talk about Shopify is the king of commerce. I don't care what anyone says, from Sweet Commerce, from Big Commerce, all of these.
50% of Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Shopify is the king of commerce, and I will stand outside my house if you want to come and argue. I think Shopify is going to be king of commerce for the next 5 years minimum. Just the investment from brand side into Shopify, yet alone from Shopify side, it's not going to be touched. So we always talk about who is going to come and challenge Shopify. At one point, there was just like, I don't know, buzz around car.com that died really quickly, didn't go anywhere, so on and so forth. I mean, Sweet Commerce tried to do that. Magento 2 is trying to come out. I mean, it's a tidal wave. And I love it because I'm immersed in it. So when we take a step back and we're like, who's going to challenge Shopify? I don't think there's going to be a platform, but I think, to kind of push back on John's points earlier, I think social commerce, meaning off website transactions, which are typically app-based, I think that has the biggest potential to take share away from Shopify. Now, the thing that I don't know is how is Shopify going to respond to that? Shopify currently, unless they get investors and raise money in different ways or bring partners in, they can't acquire TikTok. There's just not enough money there. So I think this adoption of social commerce, YouTube, we'll see what Meta does, TikTok, and what happens with TikTok, I think is going to take the biggest share from the e-commerce or commerce market from Shopify. And kind of to piggyback on my fourth point, I think the TikTok ban that's going to happen, I think is going to be short. I think as of yesterday, a Supreme Court said they're going to take and listen to TikTok's perspective on this. I think there's going to be a extension for TikTok. I don't think they can do it in 3 months. I think they probably need 6 months. And I can see Microsoft and Amazon from a maturity standpoint from companies potentially acquire it. I mean, I think if Meta tries to do it, I think they would be stopped because of monopolization. So I think Microsoft and Amazon to get into the social game could do great. And to give credit to Microsoft, they did a really good job with LinkedIn. They didn't screw it up. I mean, they didn't do anything incredible. But I think Amazon, I love Amazon, but I hope it's not them.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, man. I think the prediction is hard there because of when your last one about TikTok. As much as I would wholeheartedly, as a personal user of TikTok and also a buyer of their products and different things, I don't know if they still stay. I think there's just too much political pressure, man. There's too much data and privacy and sensitivity in the market right now. It's not about TikTok, actually. It's about governments fighting.
Yeah, but if that is owned by a US-based entity,
I don't think that'll ever happen because the approval has to come through China.
Let's take it even a step further, right? There's the platform, which is just the infrastructure, which is what they would be selling. The algorithm doesn't come with that. The algorithm does not come with
Correct.
I think would have to.
No, it would 100% guarantee that if it gets sold, the algorithm does not come with. I would bet every single dollar.
So the algo is what's the magic. No, anyone can produce TikTok. It's the magic of the algo.
Magic. That TikTok algo does not go.
But the algorithm in non-US countries is different than the algorithm in the rest of the world. India has already banned it. You can't use TikTok, for example, in India. I actually don't even think you can even use it in some European countries. But I think if you're an acquirer, like a Microsoft or Amazon, and you have this gold mine, which TikTok is, why in the world would you just buy for data? Amazon has all this data. They don't need it.
That's the entire argument. They are not going to sell the algorithm because whether you hate it or not, their algorithm compared to YouTube's algorithm, Google's algorithm, Facebook's algorithm, every single social algorithm, I'm sorry, especially LinkedIn, oh my God, it's horrible.
Correct.
All of the US-based algorithms are complete and utter garbage.
You know why, though? It's because of data and privacy, right? Instagram even being so big or Meta being so big, their algo is nowhere near as good. Okay, Brian's got a hot take.
Yeah, I would actually argue TikTok's become the worst in the world. When I'm on TikTok, I just get pushed TikTok shop stuff.
That's because they know you shop on Temu.
Huh?
I don't.
They know that you shop.
I don't get
on
anything
Temu,
from the
and
TikTok
they
shop.
just want to hit you with those ads. I don't get that many ads. I have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think maybe Instagram's learned me more because I'm on the platform more.
No, Instagram's terrible.
Yeah,
I get served.
See what
Why am I
said.
getting ads for ButcherBox all the time?
Because of Brian, maybe.
Probably because of me. Yeah.
Because he knows that
I don't know.
you know the number one meat guy. So
So do you think that's why? Because I've purchased from Temu before.
That's my humble opinion because they're sharing data.
You're right. And then here's the other part of this whole privacy thing. I've had, which I don't know if I've disclosed this on the podcast. This was a while ago when I first started purchasing from Temu. My card got hacked twice, and I'm like, I'm still doing it. I don't care. I still purchase from it.
This is what I'm saying, though. See, your experience, because their algo and their data sharing between the country is giving data to power that TikTok. You're getting ads because they're like, yo, this guy's a VIP buyer. He'll buy our shit all day long. Serve it.
Yeah, run it. Yeah,
run it. He'll eventually buy it if you just keep him around long enough. You know what I mean? All right, let's keep going, guys. We're cranking. John, I love this take. Talk to us about this next one.
Yeah, so live shopping will have its first year of genuine success in the U.S. ecom industry. So,
All right, Gary V.
did he say that?
Yeah, he says that.
Listen,
Gary,
man.
Gary V
Listen, man.
loved live shopping. What not? He just
Everyone
loved it.
So-
Everyone's live shopping, and if you take empathy and then if you live shop and sell empathy, and then all you have to do is buy 10 baseball cards. Buy 10 baseball cards, buy empathy, and then live sell it. Listen, just take your empathy, live sell it. Social, this is going to take over the world. If you don't have empathy, you don't have it, and you got to buy empathy.
It's a good impersonation of him. So the reality is we were talking about live shopping in the infancy of this social commerce piece, and somehow TikTok Shop and affiliate videos non-live became the front runner and the thing we were all talking about. And somehow we ignored the live shopping piece, which you look at, yes, we're laggards compared to China with social commerce. But Lipstick Boy, what's his name? Is it Lipstick Boy? The guy that did 2 billion in...
Yes, for Singles Day.
Yeah. Is it Lipstick Boy Single Day?
Something like that. Yeah, I remember. We know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Clay Aiken, I think.
Lipstick King.
Yes, Lipstick King. That's right.
Yeah. So, but the reality is, a big part of China's social commerce economy is live shopping. And somehow all of this noise from TikTok Shop and then in turn Google Shopping, which, Brian, you and I were very bullish on it. They've completely shit the bed.
Yep.
But the reality is the live shopping piece is still there. And I think we're going to finally figure it out in the U.S. for the first time.
Well, TikTok's been streaming live shopping all day right now. You can do live shopping all day, and they're trying to teach and educate the market. I do agree with you, John, on the live shopping thing. I know Gary V's bullish on it, but let's be real. Gary V hasn't missed on a lot of his predictions either. You know, it only took 8 years of live shopping in this market to break through, but it wasn't. I don't agree that it will be standalone. I do think it'll be through a social platform. So it's really social commerce powering live shopping.
Yes.
I'm sure Instagram's coming out with more live shopping opportunities here, and same with YouTube, but I do 100% agree with you on that.
Last thing I'll leave it with, a vendor of ours who we feature a lot of their products, they jumped on Whatnot, which, that's where the infamous Drip amassed all of his followers. It was selling sports cards. I thought it was a sports card place and a Disney lapel pin place. These guys are selling knives on there. They don't have a big following. They have only gone live half a dozen times, but they're averaging $1,000 an hour. It's just okay, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, if you pay a creator $50 an hour or $100 an hour and you can average $1,000 an hour of sales, dude, that's better ROI than running a meta ad.
100%.
So, all right, let's keep going because I want to make sure, because we're going long on this one. I'm going to keep it going because it's good. It's juicy. But, the next one that I wrote is AI and AGI will change team structures this year. We're already seeing the slim down. AGI is artificial generated intelligence, essentially getting multiple agents to talk to each other to make a decision and create an action. That's coming out this year via Sam Altman, right? So if we see that really come out this year, it's just going to continue to create team structures. If you think about teams these days right now, they're just getting leaner and leaner already as it is. You don't need a copywriter. You've got AI. You don't need an image generation guy. We've got Soros or any of these other guys that are starting to develop image and video expertise. All these things that are starting to create, even podcasts like we're doing today, everyone's on a chase to create shorts. And I saw one I was just recently testing. You could load a short on and it would put B-roll in there and you could create imagery. And dude, it's getting better and better every day. Imagine where a future where you've got multiple different agents that are working and they're talking to each other and saying, we produced a podcast. Let's go ahead and create that short. Let's go ahead and publish that short. Each agent is going to be responsible for different things. So in e-commerce, it's just going to continue to take those brands and make them smaller, slimmer teams while producing the same outcome ultimately. Amir, you're shaking your head. Any addition to that?
I agree, but I think we're
probably
living
early.
at one. Yeah, it's early. I get it. Where I'm more cautious with it is you still need to know people who are going to do it. For example, I'll use Walter from BattleBox. He does marketing. He works with us, a bunch of other vendors. I think he's going to become more efficient, but it's not like you can get rid of a Walter or somebody on my team, but it's just...
You don't need Walter's assistant anymore. You don't need junior assistants. You don't need junior marketers or junior developers anymore.
But look at it, the whole generational thing. Before Photoshop came out, everyone freaked out when Photoshop was coming out and said, oh my God, all these jobs are going to be gone. No, new jobs are going to be created. Old ones are going to be replaced. It's not just going to vanish opportunities for people. But that's my whole big thing. It's freaking adopt AI. We're not going to go away from it. So I think there's just going to be these net new opportunities. They're going to make brands a lot more competitive. It is going to empower people to be a lot smarter, more efficient. And it's going to, I think, just create this new economy and this new perspective in the market where if you don't adopt it, to your point, Jimmy, you're going to fall behind and you're going going to become irrelevant.
Become
So it's like, I don't want people that are listening to it to feel like, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen to my job? No. Learn it and evolve with it, and you're going to be a freaking rock star.
Be an adopter.
Yeah.
Be part of it. Brian, and your company right now, I mean, you've got a couple marketers. Are they adopting it? Are they using it? Like, tell us about how they use AI.
Yeah. What's really cool is on the Photoshop side of it. So Adobe just released a few cool things, right? I mean, they've had like over the past 12 months in regards to like one-click background changes, right? Or one-click, I guess like now AI generated like prelays and overlays where take an Almost Pride product and put it in the Tanzania forest. It's like before you needed to pay someone to go to the Tanzania forest. I'm not sure if Tanzania has a forest, but you can imagine what a Tanzania forest looks like. You used to have to pay someone to go there. Now it's like, Morgan, who is our graphic designer, she does all of our packaging, all of our design. She's able to do work a lot quicker, which we're able to run very lean because it's like, wow, Almost Pride, they have 120 SKUs. They're in retail, wholesale, ecom. You must have like a crazy outsourced, graphic design agency or a big team in-house. It's like, we got like one girl, that's it. Why? Because software now, and now with AI, has enabled one person to do three people's jobs. And I think that's the big thing. Also, the AI generated reporting, and then also the offshore manual reporting if you want to build something yourself. So retail, we used to have a big team. We launched into retail. We had at one point one national sales director and then 3 sales reps under him. So we had 4 people are traveling the United States. Right. And this is right before I got here, probably almost 2 years ago. And it's like, okay, retail is very hard to grow. And the reason why retail is really hard to grow, which I've learned, especially over the past few months, is it's not the margins of retail. It's the people that it takes to get your product sold, right? Salespeople. Well, now, here's the cool part where Adam's like, all right, well, hey, we're going to have to make the tough decision. So what do? We got rid of 3 of the 4. We have 1 person now over the past month, 4 weeks. It's been like almost 4 weeks. We have 1 person now. And what do? Well, they have generated reporting that they get on a weekly basis. They're able to see what stores are buying what. And then they're able to take key accounts where, hey, we have a hunch that if I pick up this account, they also have 4 other stores in their chain. Let's just target our time and spend it with Earl instead of traveling this like random, So teams are able to get a lot smarter in regards to how they grow a channel. So now that channel is super, even though it hasn't grown that much the past X amount of months, well, we just freed up like $400,000 of cash because we're not paying travel costs, hotels, flights. We're not paying salaries, bonuses, commissions. We paid one guy a little bit more to run the country until we get to a certain point. And now I think what's going to happen is in the past with the expansion in AI, how most people used to operate is they used to build a team around a company or a brand, and they used to try to have the company grow to meet the people that they already hired. Now, people are going to grow with the amount of people in which that they hire. That's never happened before in business history. Most people would say, hey, we're starting a company. We have to hire this person to run this department, this person to run this department. We have to have a big sales team. No. We're going to start with me and Jimmy, dude. Once we hit this, we'll hire someone else. We'll hit this, we'll hire someone else. Before the house was built, before the inside was finished. Now brands are finishing one room at a time, realizing that they don't need all these people to build the infrastructure.
100% agree with you there. All right, we're going long, so I think I'm going to go 2 more here. I've got John, I love your 5th hot prediction. Shoot it, and then I've got 1 more prediction after that.
You said number 5?
Yes, number 5.
All right, yeah, game over a lot of brands. We talked about game over earlier on the SaaS side. I think we're going to see a lot of brands shutter. I'm shocked it wasn't bigger in 2024, but it's coming. It's coming this year. There's been a lot of brands that have been on life support for a while now. Plug is getting pulled. I'm sorry, I don't think we're going to see consumer spending and consumer behavior pop as quickly, even with, let's say, new administration hits the economy starts shooting up. I think it'll take too long for these brands to be able to recover.
Well, they say 5-year cycles, right? They say 5-year cycles on business, right? Yeah. So if we think about that and we go back, or 2020, we saw the boom of new businesses in 2020. So your prediction is actually very spot on with trends.
So
good one. I don't have a lot there. Anyone have anything to add on to that one for John?
Everybody agrees?
100%.
I hate to agree with it. And I think we've seen the same aggregation of brands under private equity with a lot of private equity company knowing how to run brands. And I think I've seen personally results of some of these Ps just dropping the ball on what to do with acquisitions.
Yeah. Cool. All right. My last hot prediction. Guys, the ASOM Pod will be the #1 D2C pod in the market.
Hey, let's go, man.
Let's go, 2025. Let's shoot for the stars, guys. And that's my last hot prediction. With that, guys, that was really fun. I really loved the predictions that you guys gave. That's episode number 28. That was fantastic. And if you stuck along and listened to this whole time, we hope you thought we had some good ideas. And we'll look back at this in 2025 at the end of this year and say, was this really right? And were we stupid, or were we completely right? And were we the oracle. And I think these are things that, I think for us as business people and people listening to this pod, these are just our opinions. Doesn't mean that these are going to be truth or right, but I think that these are all things that you're thinking about. And we hope that you listeners out there have thought about and said, you know what, these guys have a good point, or they're absolutely dumb about it. Either way, we respect your opinion. We like it. Make sure that you're liking, commenting, subscribing, and comment below either on YouTube or different places on our social media. Let us know what you think about these things, because we'd love to see what you think about them, because we're not always right, but we like to at least think we have some visual eyesight into the future there. With that, don't forget to leave us a review or rating on your favorite podcasting streaming thing, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you are. And remember, normally we're in video first, we're in person. We'll continue to be back in person. The next time you see us, we'll continue some of our Chicago ones, but after that, we've got Miami coming up. So we're really excited about that as we come to it. And don't forget to subscribe to awesompod.com. Now that we have a beautiful website, one, you should just go check it out to just check out Perella's capabilities and how awesome they are. But also come subscribe to our newsletter, because if you enjoyed these hot takes that we gave you guys today, well, you should see the hot takes that we share each and every week, and you should share and read those as well. And we'll be back next week in person. Next week, we've got another spicy one. Episode 29 is called e-commerce SaaS, Hot or Not. We're going to literally predict what we think about each vertical, about 20 different verticals. We didn't pick on the SaaS companies. We picked on the overall arching categories behind those SaaS companies. We're going to do a hot or not episode where we're going to just kind of talk about what we believe in it. And, a lot of this stuff with AI and the things that we talked about today, we'll absolutely go ahead and go into that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you guys joining us during this busy holiday season, guys. John, Amer, Brian, thank you guys as all, and we'll see you guys on the next pod.
Welcome to the Awesome Pod, where we talked a lot. Ecom was the path that we walked a lot. But now the question is, will you subscribe or not?